Welcome this morning. I will declare the Property Tax Subcommittee in session, and just want to mention that today we will be going over tax increment finance bills. Not every member has perhaps dealt with those kind of bills, and so I've asked Mr. Sylvia to give us a quick tutorial concerning those issues with which we'll be dealing this morning. And at this point, if you may proceed, Mr. Sylvia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. As a brief refresher of tax increment financing, or TIF, TIF is an economic development tool that allows for development or redevelopment in areas where it would not otherwise occur. Mechanically, TIF uses the increased property tax generated by development to pay for the upfront costs of the development itself. Before creating a TIF district, a city must make what's often referred to as a but-for finding, and it's sort of twofold: that but for the use of tax increment financing, the development or proposed development would not occur, and that the market value of the property would increase with TIF assistance and would not necessarily without TIF assistance. State TIF laws provide for the establishment of 5 different tax increment financing districts, 2 of which will be discussed on today's agenda, those being redevelopment districts and housing districts. And within the TIF authorizing statutes, each tax increment financing district has certain requirements that must be met in order to establish each particular TIF district. The law also provides for duration limits for each district, so how long the district can exist before it's required to decertify or close. And lastly, the type of expenditures or qualifying expenditures that can be used for each type of TIF district, permissible expenditures. It's important to note that TIF districts can be established under general law without ever coming to the legislature, so that the only time the legislature and the tax committee would see a TIF proposal is when an exemption from general law requirements is requested. And the committee will see roughly 5 exemptions from the general law requirements today, and I can briefly discuss those in concept and certainly answer more questions when we get to those particular bills. The first is an exemption from the so-called blight test. I mentioned a redevelopment district is one type of district that can be established, and in order to do so, a finding of blight is required. The blight test essentially requires that a certain percentage of the area of the district be occupied by buildings, streets, utilities, and so forth, and that a percentage of the buildings be considered structurally substandard. There is a bill this morning that asks that the parcel for which a TIF district is proposed is deemed to have met the blight test when it would not otherwise have done so, and a redevelopment district be established. The second and third exemption sort of run together, and those are the 5-year rule and 6-year rule extensions. The 5-year rule under tax increment financing requires that development activity occur within the first 5 years from certification of a TIF district. And correspondingly, the 6-year rule requires that beginning in the 6th year or upon expiration of the 5-year rule, if the 5-year rule was extended under a special law, that beginning in that 6th year, if the percentage of in-district expenditures exceeds, the amount of tax increment generated exceeds the in-district expenditures for that year, then the remainder of increment must be used to essentially pay down any outstanding obligations during the 5-year rule and decertify the district. Another special exemption that is requested today is a duration extension. I mentioned earlier that each TIF district has a required number of years that they're allowed to exist, and there are times where an exemption will be requested either to extend that district by a number of years. And lastly, there's an exemption that relates to the concept of pooling, which is a concept that essentially allows increment to be spent outside the district but within the project area. And TIF law provides that for each type of district, a certain percentage of increment must be spent within the district. Redevelopment districts allow for 25% of increment to be spent outside the district. All other districts, that percentage is 20%. Having said that, there is another provision of TIF law that allows a TIF district other than housing districts to extend or to increase that pooling percentage by an additional 10%, provided that increment be used for qualifying low-income rental housing projects under Section 42 of the IRS code. So, Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, I think I would conclude my remarks there, but certainly willing to answer any questions that the committee members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvia. Are there any preliminary questions on the part of the committee members at this point? Seeing no hands raised at this stage, we will then proceed to the agenda. We will follow the agenda with the exception that the second bill, Senate File 1921, will be moved to the end to accommodate the author's schedule today. So with that, I think those are the main announcements that we needed to make right now. Mr. Steinhoff, was there anything else that we should talk about?
Well, I think we have a very busy agenda today, so we want to try to keep remarks to 5 to 7 minutes or so as we move through this. And we do have a lot of this information prior to the hearing. Also, members should have, and the chairman does have. So that would be the one I would want to make. And also, Chairman, the summary for the bills are all in one document that all members received from Mr. Sylvia last night, and they're also posted for the public too. Sort of a concise way to look at all the bills.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Steinhoff. With that, let's turn to Senate File 1752. Senator Abeler, welcome to the committee.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I seldom get to appear at one of these hearings, and I have to suggest I wish I could come to more. How's that for the right answer? I'm happy to be the first one on TIF Day. The city of Ramsey has had a project going for 5 years, and they need an extension, which is one of the topic areas. And there was a bill introduced, and then staff provided an amendment, which I cannot admit that I understand all the way of. And so I'll seek the committee's expertise on that. Mr. Gladhill, the deputy city administrator, is here, who can comment on the details and the content. And so then we'll go from there, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Gladhill, welcome to the committee. Identify yourself for the record and you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I am Tim Gladhill, City of Ramsey's Deputy City Administrator. As introduced, we have a special legislation TIF district that was originally created in 2008, 2009. The beginning of a 3-year recession. So that 5-year rule pushed us out. There wasn't a lot of activity. So that kind of got us behind the 8 ball. We're now starting to see that momentum build. We're asking for another extension to that 5-year rule. A little bit about this district, what it's done so far. Really critical for a lot of goals. It was instrumental in the Highway 10 planning efforts, the Armstrong Boulevard interchange. It was used in that project, as well as the first and only so far infill station in the North Star commuter rail, the Ramsey station. It's led to over 1,000 affordable housing units, over $100 million of private investment, and the expansion of retail. So like I said, we just started building momentum, and we started to run into issues with this project completion deadline. And so we'd like to push that out a little bit. We are not extending the life of the district. In fact, we're hoping with the few final projects that we can get done in this district, we can actually decertify early and make those taxes go back to the typical distribution schedule. So the projects that we still want to get done in the next year or two have to do with the development pad ready sites in our downtown area known as the core. We have a redevelopment area just west of that with some road reconstruction and some redevelopment opportunities. And then third, and probably most importantly, I know many of the senators are familiar with the Ramsey Gateway project, Highway 10 169 improvements. Bunker Lake Boulevard is a reliever to that very congested, very increasingly unsafe corridor. This has been identified as a funding source to improvements to Bunker Lake Boulevard, which will go to improve the Ramsey Gateway, in addition to the improvements that we are nearing ready to get going for in the near future. So really important things. We're kind of at that finish line for the projects that we want to get done. If you look at our spending plan in the TIF district, we know we're not going to get to all of that. But if we could at least get those 3 projects, very important regional significance, we would be very happy with this, hopefully, final extension of that 5-year rule. With that, that will conclude my comments, and I will stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gladhill. First, Mr. Sylvia, any particular comment concerning this bill?
Mr. Chair, members, the only thing I would add, as the testifier indicated, this is, I believe, the second time a 5-year rule request has been received for this district. I think this would push the 5-year rule to roughly a 15-year district, or 15-year rather, 5-year rule. Other than that, I would have nothing additional to add, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Members, any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
There was an amendment that I was provided with yesterday, which I admit I do not understand. And so it was provided, I'm not even sure who sent it, but if that's, I don't know if that's around, and you know, I know this is a hearing to lay things over, so, but there was some amendment provided that you might just want to be aware of, and I didn't have an electronic copy, I just had a copy of it, so.
Okay. Mr. Sylvia, is there anything out there that you're aware of?
Mr. Chair, sure. I was not able to receive confirmation from Senator Abeler, so it was not included in this morning's packet. It is a clarifying amendment concerning the 5- and 6-year rule. It's a technical amendment. I did just email the amendment to Mr. Steinhoff. If Senator Abeler wishes to offer it, we can send that to the committee members at this time, or include that technical amendment should this bill be laid over. But it's a technical amendment in nature, not relative to any of the underlying requests.
Mr. Chair, I know you don't want to have any delays, so if you'd rather just save the time and we can run it by Mr. Gladhill and the city, and then assuming this gets into your bill, we can just clarify it then.
Very good. Actually, Senator Abeler, Mr. Sylvia and I visited yesterday, and there is sometimes there's a question of, if you extend the 5-year rule, does the 6-year rule automatically get extended? And some say it does, some like clarification as to that point. And I think that the purpose of the amendment is to offer that clarification. And so we do actually, I think, have that amendment prepared for other 5-year extension pieces as well. And so with that, Senator Abeler, I would move Senate File 1752 together with the author's amendment for the 6-year modification, and I would then turn it over to any members. Any questions? Senator Murphy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And this is a question for either Senator Abeler or Mr. Gladhill. I appreciate the explanation of what the extension would do, and I'm just wondering if you could share with us what would happen if we weren't able to proceed with this proposal in this year.
Mr. Gladhill, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Gladhill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. What would happen if we didn't extend that? I think our primary concern would be that Bunker Lake Boulevard project and how important that is to the overall solve for Highway 10 169. So if there was one thing that I would ask for you to walk away with that didn't happen, we would have to find another funding source for a $3 million project that we don't have programmed into our CIP with any other funding source. The other 2 projects that I mentioned, we have a very old blighted outdoor storage industrial area that we would really like to see redeveloped. And I don't see that moving forward anytime soon. And there's a lot of road needs there, crumbling infrastructure in roads that we need to get fixed, and we've delayed a project. And then third, which is a little bit more economic development focused, and there might be a solve for this. We have a large 40-acre parcel in our downtown area that just simply isn't buildable because it's very low. It needs quite a bit of fill. And so we could probably solve for that third one, but it's still important to our pro forma. We have to adjust our CIP. So those 3 projects either would not happen or would be significantly delayed without this extension.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Gladhill.
Thank you. Well, before we proceed, we should technically have a vote on the author's amendment. All those, please take your mutes off and indicate. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. If there are no further comments or questions from members, Senator Abeler, any final comments?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the consideration. I hope we can get this done. I think we've made a good case. Appreciate the committee's attention and time very much.
Thank you, Senator. And with that, Senate File 1752 will be laid over for possible inclusion. With that, we will turn to Senate File 1379. Senator Wiklund, welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I really appreciate being able to present Senate File 1379 today. Richfield is like many other communities in our state who are taking an active role in the housing space, in particular to work to address the affordable housing crisis. This bill would add some flexibility to our housing TIF district in Richfield to address specific community needs that we are seeing in Richfield. I'd really like my testifiers to add some additional information. I have Mayor Reagan Gonzalez from Richfield here, and Julie Urban from who is the Richfield housing manager to speak on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. First, we will turn to Mayor Gonzalez. Please identify yourself for the record and you may proceed.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Gonzalez, the mayor of Richfield. So just very briefly, I know everybody in this committee knows, because I assume that you're all experiencing affordable housing pressures in your own districts, but affordable housing and housing stability is absolutely fundamental to our community, to our identity, and it's the key to the success of our residents and our places of employment and our schools. And so in Richfield, we've always traditionally been a very affordable community, but that is quickly being lost, which threatens the stability not only of our city, but of the entire region. And one of the areas that I'm most passionate about and concerned about of our families and our kids. So the city of Richfield has been committed to supporting housing needs for everyone in our community for many years. We provide a lot of supports and assistance to make sure that Richfield can be called home to so many different types of families and sizes. But we're looking for some additional flexibility and support in making sure that we're able to address the changing affordable housing needs for our families. So in our community, we have families that are cost burdened by their housing payments. We have residents earning a minimum wage, and we have families, many of whom in our Richfield school district are living in apartments and need that housing stability. And if any of you have ever come to Richfield, you know the majority of our community is apartments and single family homes that were built in the 1950s and in the 1960s, and they are in desperate need of repair. So the current amount of state and federal housing support and funding and tools that we have at our disposal is not enough to meet the intense affordable housing needs that we have in our community. And as we all know, COVID has only exacerbated and accelerated these issues, including the need for affordable housing. So we're seeking flexible tools and funding to help us in our efforts in Richfield to make sure that we're creating more affordable housing and we're preserving the existing affordable housing we have. So I will pass it to our housing specialist, Julie Urban, to talk a little bit more in detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Weber, Senators. Again, I'm Julie Urban, and I am the Housing and Redevelopment Manager for the City of Richfield. So the proposed legislation before you today would provide a flexible tool and funding source for affordable housing in Richfield. It would allow us to transfer our pooled tax increment into our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. With our trust fund, we can construct and preserve housing that's affordable for very low-income renter households, earning up to 50% of the area median income, as well as low-income owner households. For many years, Richfield has required new development receiving tax increment to either create affordable housing or to contribute 15% of the increment to pooling. We currently pool 15% of the tax increment generated by 3 different redevelopment TIF districts, with 2 additional districts beginning contributions in the next couple of years. So we're seeking this legislation to allow us to transfer existing and future pooled increment to our housing trust fund, and to then be able to use the funds consistent with the trust fund ordinance and policies that have been adopted by the city. The proposed legislation would also allow us to access that additional 10% affordable housing contribution that's currently allowed in TIF law, but to use it for both affordable ownership as well as rental housing opportunities. As the mayor said, we have long been a leader in affordable housing programs that address the continuum of housing needs in our community. We want to be able to expand on these efforts to meet the growing need for affordable housing, but we need resources in order to do that. Our pooled increment is one such existing local resource. It's not a new tax. It's funding that is already being collected that we want to be able to use to its greatest potential and to be able to leverage other investments with it. Passing this legislation and allowing us to do our affordable housing work through the trust fund would give us the flexibility necessary to respond to the housing needs of our community and the greater region. With that, I thank you again for the opportunity to be with you today, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Urban. Mr. Sylvia, I know there were some questions as related to the different sections of the bill here. Would you like to go over those, please?
Mr. Chair and members, one question that I had related to on line 1.16, notwithstanding 4691763. In listening to this testifier, it's my understanding that there's no interest in pooling outside of the required either 25 or 20 plus the additional 10. When we notwithstand the statute, I just wanted to make sure that there was not a request to either be allowed to pool additional increment outside of what's allowed, either the 25 plus the 10, given that we notwithstand that statute. If that's the case, perhaps that should be clarified just to provide that it's still within the allowable pooling percentage allowed.
You're correct. We aren't asking for any more than is currently allowed, just transferring it to our trust fund and following those rules.
Very good. Thank you. Members, any questions? Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this may be a question for Mr. Sylvia or for Ms. Urban. Mr. Sylvia, in your primer this morning, you went through exceptions. Is this a familiar model? Is this a novel idea by this community to try and extend their reach in terms of affordable housing?
Mr. Sylvia.
Mr. Chair, Senator Murphy and members, in the past, the committee has seen a few proposals that requested to increase that allowable 10% for affordable housing. There have been requests to increase that to 15 or 20%. So that has been seen before. The request by the city to transfer the increment to the city's affordable trust fund is a proposal that I have not seen before and is a new proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvia, and to Senator Wiklund or Ms. Urban. I appreciate the work that you are doing to try and develop more affordable housing, and appreciate that you are coming up with a creative means to do that. And I look forward to the committee's discussion about it, but I just want to thank you for pushing forward on something that can bring some relief where we know we need it across the state.
Thank you. Senator Chamberlain.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I should have mentioned this earlier. I think these TIFs are very helpful development tools for the right purposes, very useful. I think we all agree to that. And what we have found in a nonpartisan, bipartisan way is that we've worked on these over the years, as many of you, all of you know, and many of you were in front of the committee in the last few years. But just a quick reminder, as good as some of these ideas and thoughts are, remember who is on the hook if these go sideways. We had to do some bailing out after the Great Recession when I started my work here in the Senate in 2011. So these are good ideas, and it's good to come and look for ways to keep flexibility and development in local communities. But we should all be aware and reminded that these things go sideways with too many adjustments, then taxpayers are on the hook, and then ultimately all of the state is, because they'll be coming back up here for backfill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. And any other members have a question or comment? I don't see any hands raised. Senator Wiklund, final comment.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I really, again, appreciate being able to present the bill to the committee. And I really appreciate my testifiers being able to give some details on what Richfield is doing. I think that we, as they stated, that we really need to find the best ways to incentivize affordable housing to be developed within cities. And I think that use of the Housing Trust Fund is another way that Richfield has developed an innovative approach. And by adding this TIF district proposal, it will allow them to make greater use of that. And so I really appreciate the time and hope that the committee will consider adding this to your bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wiklund. With that, Senate File 1379 will is moved by Senator Murphy and will be laid over for possible inclusion. Next, we turn to Senate File 1711. Senator Wiklund.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, thank you for hearing Senate File 1711 today. This relates to the other city in my district, Bloomington, and it would create it would authorize two districts, two different locations in the city. One is called American Boulevard, and then the other is 98th and Aldrich. And I have a testifier here today to talk more about the purpose of this bill. It's Erica Coleman, and she is the Housing Redevelopment Authority manager for Bloomington. And so I'd like to have her speak about the bill. Thank you.
Very good. Welcome, Ms. Coleman. Please identify yourself for the record, and you may proceed when you are ready.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Erica Coleman, and I am the administrator of the Housing Redevelopment Authority in and for the city of Bloomington. Today, I'm here in support of Senate File 1711. Bloomington is working to address housing stability needs for residents. One of our areas of focus is redevelopment to provide more units at varying levels of affordability with community amenities. There are two requests for redevelopment TIF districts. The first is at 700 American, which is a site of potential development that includes acquisition of part or all of two additional parcels to advance a high-density project. The goals of the development would include developing vertical mixed-use buildings that incorporate the city's affordable housing policy and adds commercial space, maximize development on two parcels and a portion of another parcel of underutilized space, and take away barrier for development by undergrounding overhead power lines and transformers. Allowing the cost of undergrounding of overhead power lines, regardless if in the district or outside it, is a deviation from existing TIF statute that would allow the sites to be developable for higher density, not just single-story uses. The second request is 98th and Aldrich, a site of a transformative 2.6-acre transit-oriented mixed-use redevelopment in the heart of Bloomington's Gateway District, which is between Interstate 35W and Lindale. This potential development includes a partnership between Bloomington, Metro Transit, Met Council, and Hennepin County. The goals of this development include a transit-oriented development on the Orange Line with a 200-stall transit parking ramp, bus staging, and increase in transit users, development of 250 to 375 units of high-density rental housing, incorporating the city's affordable housing policy, commercial space for transit riders and residents, and maximizing development on 3 underutilized vacant parcels. There are 2 deviation requests from the existing TIF statute. Without the redevelopment TIF, the city-owned property would not be able to be developed and take advantage of the existing public infrastructure improvements, such as the Orange Line station, transit station, and BRT running through the project. And the city would not be in a position to fund the construction of a parking garage at the Orange Line transit station, which allows for the space to develop the housing and retail portions of the project. The flexibility is crucial to addressing housing needs in harmony with transit, infrastructure, and community amenities. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I appreciate your consideration of Senate File 1711.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Mr. Sylvia, any comments concerning this project?
Mr. Chair, not specifically, as I mentioned, the requirements of the blight test would be exempted, as well as pooling, which is found in subdivision 3 of section 1 specifically, so allowing increment to be deemed expended on activities within the district would allow for additional pooling outside the district. Otherwise, these expenditures would count rather against the pooling percentage that I mentioned earlier for redevelopment districts.
Okay, very good. Members, any questions or comments? Seeing none, Senator Wiklund, any final comments?
Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Chair. And I think that Ms. Coleman has really described the projects well. These are two opportunities for Bloomington to create, mixed use development areas, and the TIF redevelopment districts would give us the flexibility and the ability to do that work in an efficient way. And I appreciate your time today, and hope that you will consider including this in your bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wiklund. Senator Murphy moves Senate File 1711, and it will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you. With that, we turn to Senate File 1426. Senator Latz.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. And yourself?
Fine, thank you.
Please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This Senate file is a request by the City of St. Louis Park to be able to use funds that they already have available through their existing TIF districts for a purpose which is outside the existing authorization of the TIF laws, but which serves a higher or more important purpose under the City of St. Louis Park's priorities, and that is to facilitate the expansion of the development of affordable housing. We have with us today Karen Barton from the City of St. Louis Park, who can give you more details on that, and I appreciate your taking her testimony.
Thank you, Senator. Ms. Barton, please identify yourself for the record, and you may proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Chair Weber. My name is Karen Barton. I am the Community Development Director for the City of St. Louis Park. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. So as many of you are probably aware, St. Louis Park is a high-end rental market, and due to high land prices, environmental issues, and high construction costs, our ability to create new affordable housing is difficult. So back in 2015, the city adopted an inclusionary housing policy, which requires minimums for affordable housing units within new construction. And in late 2018, the city created an affordable housing trust fund in accordance with state statute, and has earmarked approximately $1.1 million per year starting in 2021 from our HRA tax levy to fund our trust fund. So we are currently using our TIF funds, our excess increment, for affordable housing to facilitate the construction and preservation of affordable housing in the city, and will continue to do so. However, we are seeking some flexibility in putting those funds to work more quickly and effectively. As was mentioned, affordable housing is a high priority for the City of St. Louis Park, and to advance those goals, we are requesting to use the excess increment in our TIF funds that we have available in a creative manner to augment what the city is already contributing to our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So our request with this legislation is basically twofold. First, to allow the City of St. Louis Park to deposit TIF district dollars, where the city has elected to retain 35% of the TIF for affordable housing as permitted by state statute, directly into the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and to utilize the funds in accordance with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund guidelines for the benefit of low, very low, and extremely low income households. And secondly, to utilize the 35% of TIF dollars from non-housing TIF districts for affordable home ownership, in addition to affordable rental. Currently, TIF from housing districts only can be used for both home ownership and rental. By allowing these minor changes, this reduces the need for the city to create more TIF districts to achieve affordable housing. It allows the city to construct more affordable units faster and to diversify our affordable housing stock. It expands affordable homeownership opportunities and creates wealth building opportunities for the BIPOC community and other underserved populations, and allows for ease of administration and distribution of funds. Two important things that I want to point out is that without this legislation, we will continue to use the excess increment as allowed and permitted by law. However, we will struggle to facilitate housing at 30% AMI for extremely low income households, and we will be limited in our ability to provide affordable homeownership opportunities as well. Also to note is that in St. Louis Park, we capture the excess increment after the district obligations have been met. And in St. Louis Park, our typical district, the obligations are met within 10 years. So this increment would be captured after that time. So I appreciate the opportunity to present. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Barton. Mr. Sylvia, perhaps one of the questions that's entered my mind here in listening to the presentation, there's obviously opportunities for pooling to be used for low-income rental housing projects currently in law. Could you just briefly outline what kind of investment and expenses are allowable under that provision?
Sure, Mr. Chair and members, for housing districts, allowable excuses, including acquisition of property, construction of low-income housing property, rehabilitation of housing improvement projects. For housing TIF districts, there are income limits that are applicable to rental and owner-occupied housing. In terms of the transfer to the city's trust fund, I'm not well versed in terms of the allowable uses for the trust fund, but as I understand it, I believe there might be more flexibility in terms of the housing projects that may be funded through the trust fund as opposed to through the TIF system, which do require these income limits for owner-occupied and rental housing properties.
All right. Very good. And then the other question, I think I know the answer, but are the uses of these pooled funds, are they to be used within the district or outside of the district?
So, Mr. Chair and members, the bill provides the authority for districts that have allowed or have elected to increase the permitted pooling of expenditures. So this is relative to that 10% allowance under current law that can be used outside the district for affordable housing. So it's not limited to in-district spending.
Okay. Very good. With that, members, any comments or questions?
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Senator Latz.
Thank you. Before I forget, I do have an A1 author's amendment that would be technical in nature to conform it with the present version in the other body.
Okay, and that amendment would be an author's amendment. And at this point, Senator Murphy will move the author's amendment. And what does the amendment do, Senator Latz?
I'll ask staff to explain the technical nature of it.
Very good. Senator or Mr. Sylvia?
Mr. Chair and members, the amendment was included in the packets that was emailed to members yesterday. It's the A1 amendment. It is specific to the authorization found in paragraph B of the bill. This is the transfer of increment to the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The amended language would provide that the transfers pursuant to that paragraph would not be subject to the annual TIF reporting requirements, except that the amount of any transfer must be reported. The TIF law requires annual reporting requirements that must be made by the city and a TIF district to the state auditor each year.
So I guess my question regarding the issue of the reporting, does that tend to affect the transparency of the transactions? If money is being taken from a TIF project and repurposed into another area, is there proper accounting if we are eliminating it from reporting requirements?
Mr. Chair and members, I believe the amendment addresses the issue where there is additional reporting requirements through the Housing Trust Fund. And as I understand the issue, the reporting requirements under the trust fund would be retained, but any annual reporting requirements for the TIF district itself would not be retained except for this amount of transfer. So only the amount of the transfer would be reported, not the actual, how often the transfer is made, as I understand the amendment.
Okay. All right. This is an author's amendment, and with that, unless there are other questions, Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is a question for the testifier, Ms. Barton. And I'm just wondering if you can share with me a little bit more about the affordable housing solution that you're coming to, and why without this provision, it would be hard for St. Louis Park to reach to the 30% AMI that you testified to. And if there are other—
Senator Murphy, let's deal with the amendment first. Did you have a question concerning the amendment?
No, Mr. Chair, I did not.
Okay, then all those in favor of the author's amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, pose same sign. Motion's carried. I'm sorry about that, Senator Murphy, but now proceed with your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Ms. Barton, do you want me to repeat the question, or is that clear for you?
Ms. Barton?
Thank you, Chair Weber. I think I've got it. So in response to that, it would be more difficult for us to achieve facilitation of housing at 30% AMI because the TIF requirements are to provide housing at 50 and 60% AMI. It doesn't allow for a 30% AMI option. But once it's put into our affordable housing trust fund, we would have that option to go to a 30% AMI. Additionally, in St. Louis Park, the majority of our TIF districts are redevelopment TIF districts. We just have a couple housing TIF districts currently. And because of that, the redevelopment districts do not allow the excess increment. It's not allowed to be used for home ownership. And so that's why we're asking for this change as well. That would significantly increase the amount of money that we would have, funding we would have available for affordable home ownership in addition to affordable rental.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Senator Latz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A very large portion of the home ownership in St. Louis Park are homes that were built to accommodate the returning GIs from World War II. So a large swath of the homes are very small and tightly packed, much like you would expect to see in many urban districts. And they are comparatively affordable when you look at the size of the homes, but because of our first ring location, there is a lot of demand and the land value is high, which pushes the prices up quite a bit. So the city has worked for years since I was on the city council starting in 1993 to focus on maintaining the quality of that housing stock and also to facilitate its affordability. So it's not like, third and fourth ring suburban communities where you've got, all of the housing is large lots and 3,000 square foot homes and comparatively new. It's an aging housing stock, and it's been a constant effort on the part of the city to facilitate the maintenance of that housing stock at quality that one would hope to have. We do have a large amount of multifamily housing in St. Louis Park as well. My recollection is it's around 40–45% of the residential base. But when you separate out the home ownership portion of it, again, it's a different housing stock than you might imagine when you refer to a suburban community.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Jasinski, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe this question is for Mr. Sylvia. Have we done this in the past where we've allowed more amount to be spent outside the district? Is this something that's been done before, or are we setting a precedence here?
Mr. Sylvia.
Mr. Chair, Senator Jasinski, there have been a few proposals where that 10% additional pooling allowance allowed in the current law is increased for a particular district. It's usually district specific. But as I mentioned earlier, the transfer of increment to the city's affordable trust fund is a proposal that the committee has not seen before.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. If there are no further comments or questions, final comments, Senator Latz.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we certainly appreciate your consideration. I suspect in light of Senator Jasinski's comment that frankly, if more communities will be seeking the flexibility that St. Louis Park is seeking today as communities take advantage of the statute allowing the housing trust. It's a sign that perhaps some more flexibility is needed to meet the needs of communities like St. Louis Park, in particular for the extremely low income folks, where it's a real challenge for them to find a place. And if they can find a place, we'd like them to be able to stay in the community and not have to move out, 30 or 40 miles away to find housing that's affordable and then far away from the jobs that they might have as well. So this allows a community to maintain its community cohesiveness. And we in St. Louis Park have made a real special effort over the years to build those communities with neighborhood organizations. Our school district and our city lines are almost completely coterminous. So we have a very strong community, and we'd like to be able to continue to allow people to stay in the community by maintaining the affordability. And this is a way that I think other communities that look like ours will probably be trying to take advantage of a tool like this. So it might be a precedent that's worth setting, but in any case, we're seeking the committee's ability to do that to support St. Louis Park. And we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Senator Latz. With that, Senator Murphy renews her motion to lay Senate File 1426 as amended on the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we turn to Senate File 1649. Senator Johnson Stewart. Welcome, Senator, and you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Weber. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you having a hearing for my bill. I also bring forth an A1 amendment similar to Senator Latz. This is to bring the bill in alignment with what was passed in the House. I believe the committee has already received the A1 amendment.
With that, Senator Murphy moves Senate File 1649 and the A1 amendment. Are there any questions concerning the amendment? I assume Mr. Sylvia is exactly the same as it was previously for Senator Latz's bill.
Mr. Chair and members, that's correct. It relates to the reporting requirements. I will note that the language is slightly different in that Senator Latz's amendment required that the amount of the transfer be subject to the annual reporting requirements. This amendment does not receive or contain that language. In addition, there is a reference to a 15% cap that is being removed in this amendment as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. This is an author's amendment, and with that, the motion has been made. All those in favor of the author's amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Proceed to your bill as amended, Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, sir. This bill is similar to Senator Latz's bills as well, and the City of Richfield's bill, in that it allows for shifting of percentages into the city's new Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This does not create any new TIF districts, and this is for the city of Minnetonka. So I have two testifiers with me. First, I have the Minnetonka City Manager, Geraldine Baroni, and then followed by our legal counsel on TIF matters, Ms. Julie Eddington. So with that, I would ask you to welcome Ms. Baroni.
Yes, welcome, Ms. Baroni. Please identify yourself for the record, and you may proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Geraldine Baroni. I'm the Minnetonka City Manager, and I appreciate your time today. We are asking for something very similar to what you've already heard from the City of Richfield and from the City of St. Louis Park. So I won't really take a whole lot of your time, but certainly be available for questions that you might have. As many of you know, Minnetonka is a second ring suburb in the West Metro. Our population is over 54,000 residents, and we have about 46,000 jobs in Minnetonka. And so we have really seen a lot of growth in housing over the last 5 years. We've added over around 4,000 housing units, many of them multifamily. And we've been able to, through contractual agreements, have at least 22% of those units at an affordability level. We continue to see strong construction in the environment that we're in. And so we are looking for tools where we can expand use of affordable housing in Minnetonka. And this mechanism will allow us, as Ms. Barton, my colleague from St. Louis Park, mentioned, is that preserve affordability at actually a lower level of median income levels. So right now, much of the housing is preserved at 50 to 60 to 80% median income. And this would allow us that flexibility to be at a lower level. And with the jobs that we have in Minnetonka, this is really a critical time that we know with housing continuing to be built in the city. If we can take advantage of that through this Affordable Housing Trust Fund that our City Council recently adopted, that would really help us toward our goals and being contributing to the region as a provider of affordable housing. So with that, I do want to introduce Ms. Eddington, or toss it over to her, and she has just a few things to add. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Eddington. Please identify yourself for the record and you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Julie Eddington, and I represent the City of Minnetonka as their Development Council. I'd like to echo a lot of what Ms. Barton already mentioned about affordable housing trust funds. This is a mechanism that has been around for a while for cities to be able to use, and that that statute also allows tax increment to be included in affordable housing trust funds. And what the city is really looking for is to use these funds to provide affordable housing for people who are at the very low end of income. And so allowing them to put tax increment into this affordable trust fund will allow them to serve lower income folks at the 30% AMI level. So that's what we're looking for here. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Eddington. Members, are there any questions on your part? Mr. Sylvia, any comments concerning this request?
I have no comments, Mr. Chair.
I see no hands raised. And with that, final comments, Senator Johnson Stewart.
Just wanted to echo my colleagues in stating that affordable housing is very important to the city of Minnetonka. And I very much appreciate your time this morning and your willingness to hear this bill. So thank you all.
Very good. Thank you, Senator. With that, the Senate File 1649 as amended will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you. Next, we turn to Senate File 1486. Senator Kunesh, welcome to the committee, and please proceed when you are ready. You're on mute, Senator.
Yes, indeed. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Chair Weber and members of the committee for this opportunity to present Senate File 1486. This is a bill that modifies an existing tax increment financing district in the city of Fridley, much like we've been hearing this morning. And like so many of the communities across the state, Fridley faces really serious challenges as it is struggling to provide housing opportunities to its residents. Just as in any of our first ring suburbs, Fridley's housing stock is aging and it seriously needs rehabilitation. 77% of our current housing units in that city are more than 60 years old and are looking for the assistance of our communities. So in 2013, Fridley's Housing Redevelopment Authority approved the creation of a tax increment finance district, number 20. And that district was created to help clean up and redevelop one of the largest Superfund sites in the state. That site was formerly housing the Navy contractor and weapons manufacturer. Today, it is known as BAE. And Fridley not only wanted to encourage development in the district, but it also wanted to play its part in the environmental remediation and cleanup of a site that is in close proximity to the Mississippi River, right across the road, actually, in part of its environmental remediation and cleanup of the communities. So the resulting cleanup went a lot faster than expected. They did a great job, and it led to a highly successful Northern Stacks development whose value far exceeded the initial estimates. And these factors led to a good problem of excess increment in the city, and its HRA is now seeking to use those funds on housing programs. And it's one of the very highest priorities in Fridley, as we know the housing situation is detrimental to the survival and the development of our communities. So by making just a few modest changes to the current TIF statutes, this bill, Senate File 1486, will allow Fridley to use the existing increment from TIF District 20 to provide loans and grants to renovate existing owner-occupied and rental housing units that are outside of the district boundaries. Recently, the city and HRA refinanced its general obligation bonds for District 20. Following that refinancing, the district will now generate up to $1 million per year in excess increments between now and 2041. And so the city believes, and I too, that investing in housing and providing for residents most in need is the best and the most productive use of those excess dollars that are being generated. And that's what this Senate File 1486 will accomplish. So to provide a little bit more background on the proposal and to further highlight the need for housing investment in my district, I'd like to now turn it over to our Fridley City Manager and former HRA Commissioner, Steve Eggert.
Welcome, Mr. Eggert. Please identify yourself for the record, and you may proceed when you are ready.
Good morning, Chair Weber and members of the committee. I'm Stephen Eggert, a Fridley Council member and a long-term resident here in Fridley. Prior to my council position, I served on the Housing Redevelopment Authority for 9 years. I was with the HRA for the creation of this district and the redevelopment of it. And as was stated, one of the major issues in our community is the aging housing stock and the amount of repairs and investment needed. A couple of factors driving this, obviously, is the existing housing stock, but also our changing demographics. We have approximately 12,000 housing units, which include 2 mobile home parks, which together have over 400 units badly needing repair. We have one of the larger concentrations of 2 and 3 bedroom ramblers. In fact, my mother and father moved our family into one of those ramblers back in the 60s. In campaigning for the council, I walked the ward twice and saw each of these homes and became very aware of the needs of our community. On the demographic side, we have approximately 28,000 residents who have a median income of 63% of the metro average. 10% of our residents are considered persons of poverty, and 15% are 65 plus. The racial makeup has changed dramatically for our community. Today, 68% of our community is white, 32% of color, and 10% of our residents, over 40 different languages are spoken in our school system. Over 18% are foreign born. In summary, Fridley is a mature, fully developed first-ring suburb with aging housing stock. Our community has evolved to a highly affordable and diverse community, a community with lower resident incomes compared to the metro area. I urge you to pass this bill to allow this exception to the restrictions on the TIF dollars in this TIF district and allow funds to be directed specifically to the housing rehabilitation programs. This will allow for targeted assistance and build on established housing programs for the entire city. Programs that are in high demand by our residents. We're oversubscribed with the limited resources we have. This will help our large amount of existing affordable housing. I want to thank you for the time to speak on behalf of this bill and for your consideration of my testimony. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Eggert. First, Mr. Sylvia, any comment concerning this request?
Mr. Chair, members, the ability to use TIF pooling for housing programs has been seen in other proposals this morning. One difference that I would bring to the committee's attention is subdivision 2. This proposal would permanently exempt the district from both the 5 and 6 year rules. That specific exemption has not appeared in some of the proposals that the committee heard earlier concerning affordable housing and transfers to the Affordable Trust Fund.
Okay, very good, thank you. Senator Chamberlain, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be a fly in the ointment here, but again, about who will bear the ultimate burden. You know, the old idea that these TIF, I want to ask a question first to Mr. Eggerts. Can you confirm, so maybe I missed this, is the money, this TIF money, you want to use outside of the district? Is that what you're asking for now?
Correct. This is a district that is commercial industrial with very limited housing, if any at all. And the need is for the entire city. So the funds would go specifically to these housing programs that have limited funds.
So,
Senator Chamberlain?
Yeah, thank you. So you're still working on paying out the current TIF district, right?
Well, because this was highly successful, we have issued bonds at a significantly lower interest rate, and this allowed for the surplus in TIF dollars, which is significant.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, one more?
Yes, Senator Chamberlain.
Yes, I understand, but why wouldn't you just pay out that TIF, close it up, get another one going? Ultimately, I'm going to sound like a bad guy here, but ultimately, again, we're talking about putting a lot of taxpayers at risk. If something goes south in the economy, then that TIF's not paid off. Then things get sideways. Somebody's got to pay for that debt or transfer something to manage that debt, and nobody ends up winning in that scenario. I know it takes work to create other TIF districts, but why wouldn't people just pay off the current TIF and create a new TIF and develop it that way? These TIFs are quite often looked at as loaning. The TIFs are not designed to be banks to loan money across the cities. I sound crass, but they're not designed to be banks and loaning money for other projects. They're designed for a specific reason, and then to close that TIF, pay off the debt, close it, and move on. There's a lot of TIFs. There's a lot on this agenda today, and the statutes were written this way to kind of protect them. So I'll leave it at that. And when you eliminate 5 and 6 year rules, and then you want to go outside of that and use the money somewhere else before you pay off the current TIF, seems to me to be an unwise way to do business and puts all taxpayers at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. Any other comments or questions on the part of these members? Seeing none, Senator Kunesh, final comments.
Yes, thank you. I would ask you for your support in this. As you can see, Fridley has been a good steward of their dollars. They have been future looking and are being proactive. And for this reason, and knowing the housing crunch, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. There might not be a recession again. We might, really be on a trajectory towards positive economic success. And so right now, right here, these funds could be used not only to inject more money into our communities, but to ensure that our housing stock is secure and well kept. And again, Fridley has been a very good steward. They have looked and used their funds very well, and invested it in all the right places and reinvested it in all the right places. And so I would ask for support of this bill and allow Fridley to continue to invest in their communities.
Thank you, Senator Kunesh. And with that, Senator Murphy moves 1486, which will then be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you very much. Next, we turn to Senate File 564, Senator Port. There you are. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
When you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I appreciate the opportunity to present Senate File 564. The city of Burnsville has been working for years to revitalize and redevelop the area around the Burnsville Center Mall. Even prior to COVID, this area was in sharp decline, and that's only been sped up during the pandemic. This area is the heart of the commerce center of the city, and with the assistance of the state to create this TIF district, the city would have a strong tool to revitalize the area. I have Mayor Couts from Burnsville here to testify, and also Jenny Faulkner from the city is on the call if there are any technical questions for the city side.
Thank you, Senator. Mayor Couts, welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record, and you may proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Elizabeth Couts. I'm the mayor of the city of Burnsville. Mr. Chair and members, thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you this morning, here to talk about the redevelopment of the Burnsville Center area. And it is one of our top priorities. Our request, Mr. Chair and members, is simple, straightforward, and does not cost the taxpayers any money. The requests before you this morning are three: to have the Burnsville Center qualify for tax increment financing to meet the blight standard. And second, to allow the tax increment financing to be spent on more than the correction of the blight. And third, to allow us to use the proceeds for a new crossing at County Road 42. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, the Burnsville Shopping Center was built in 1977. It's 1.1 million square feet. The buildings are functionally and economically obsolete. The Burnsville Center at one time was a destination. However, it is continuing to decline. And so I can tell you that the Burnsville Center, like the former Sears quarter of the center, has been vacant since 2017. And it appears to be a matter of time before we lose another anchor at the center. COVID has made it difficult and worse. The tax value, Mr. Chair and members, has decreased 46% since 2018. We anticipate that it will again decrease another 20% given the recent auction at the end of 2020. And this was the auction of the CBL portion of the center. And this is hurting the taxpayers, the city, the school district, the county, and the state. Mr. Chair and members, in 2019, the city approved the Center Village Vision Plan, which is also a long-range mixed-use framework for redevelopment of the area. Along with all of that, we also adopted the land use zoning, ordinance, and code. So we have all of the regulatory tools ready to go. And we ask for your support because we anticipate that without help, this is going to continue to become blighted in the city. So, Mr. Chair and committee members, I'm here to ask for your support. I'm here to ask for your partnership. Help Burnsville, help our region, and help our state. And let me again articulate the three things that we're asking for your consideration: to have the Burnsville Center qualify for TIF to meet the blight standard. Second, to allow the use of TIF to be spent on more than the correction of the blight. And third, to allow us to use the proceeds for the new crossing at County Road 42. Mr. Chair and committee members, we stand for questions. As Senator Port has said, our community development director, Jenny Faulkner, is with me, and also Stacy Kilbang is also here. So we stand for questions. And again, thank you for your support. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for understanding what we are challenged with in the city of Burnsville.
Thank you, Mayor Kautz. I guess one question I have is, it's my understanding that this a proposal has been offered before, but this is a scaled back version of the previous one. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair and members, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And with that, Mr. Sylvia, any comments from you at this point?
Mr. Chair and members, I would just say that the authorizations that appear in this bill are very similar to that appeared in 1711 from Senator Wiklund just a few minutes ago, asking for an exemption from the blight test, allowing increment to be spent outside of the district for purposes that aren't permissible. So this is that pooling exemption. And lastly, which appears in paragraph 2. Under redevelopment districts, there is a requirement that 90% of the increment generated from a redevelopment district be spent on costs associated with correcting the blight. So whenever we exempt a district from the blight test, it's certainly not uncommon to have to exempt the district from that requirement, simply because the 90% wouldn't be appropriate if we exempted the district from that ultimate blight test finding.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Members, any comments or questions? Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe this is a question for the mayor. So is the bridge going across 35, which is what County Road 42, and I've traveled that many times. I know there's some congestion issues there, so I appreciate that. Is outside the district of the TIF district? Is that why you're asking to be spent out? And is the money being spent specifically for that, for the bridge and the transportation issues?
Mayor Kautz.
Mr. Chair and Senator Jasinski, it's going to go underground to connect to the north, Senator.
To the Costco area? I'm just trying to get my bearings here.
No, to the Target area.
To the Target area, okay.
Yeah.
So it will go under 42, okay.
Yes, under.
And 42. That's what's being used outside, sorry, Mr. Chair, and that's what's being used outside the district, or is that in the district, the TIF district?
Mr. Chair and Senator, this is going to be, thank you, Mr. Chair. It is because it's connecting up, the district is to the south in the shopping center area, and this is to connect and have a safe crossing, and it'll go underground And so it won't obstruct the flow of traffic on 42, but go underground to connect us south to the north.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Mayor. I think that'll be a great improvement. So thank you.
So if I understand then, Mayor Couts, everything on the north side of 42 is technically outside of the district.
Mr. Chair and members, that's correct.
Okay, very good.
We skinnied it down and just focused on it. Yes.
Okay, any other members have a question or comment? Seeing none, Senator Port, final comment.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Over the past decade, Burnsville Center was a huge draw for commerce of all kinds to the city, and now it's a prime location that really is just a drain, but could bring renewed commerce and community opportunities. And I do just want to thank Senator Chamberlain for his work on this bill last year, helping us get it in this form. And it was to be included in the 2020 bill, which obviously COVID got away from. So we appreciate your consideration for this year's omnibus bill.
Thank you, Senator. And with that, Senator Murphy moves Senate File 564, and it shall be laid on the table for possible inclusion, or held over for possible inclusion. Thank you very much. Next, I will turn the gavel over to Senator Chamberlain, as the next two bills up are my bills.
Thank you, Senator Weber. And I must take a moment and just say thank you, Senator Port. I don't know if the mayor would characterize it that way. But thanks. Good luck. So Senator Weber has Senate File 1411. Senator Weber, to your bill. You don't have any comments, correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And yes, this is the City of Mountain Lake requesting a 5-year rule extension. Obviously, some of the issues surrounding this past year have caused some issues in terms of their projects. And we have today Mr. Schulte, from the city administrator from Mountain Lake, who will describe that issue for you.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Mr. Schulte, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, Chairman Weber and Vice Chair Chamberlain and committee members, thank you for allowing me to testify today. My name is Michael Schulte. I'm the city administrator for the city of Mountain Lake, population of around 2,100 people located in southwest Minnesota. I can go into as much detail as desired, but the overall reason I am here today is to support Senate File 1411 to extend the 5-year rule for TIF District 1-8. TIF District 1-8 is located in our downtown next to our city park and is currently vacant. There have been multiple efforts to develop projects by our Economic Development Authority of the district, but not yet succeeded. In 2015, 4 substandard buildings that desperately needed to be taken down were acquired by our EDA and demolished. The plan was to construct a 5,000 square foot commercial building to be leased to our local clinic, who desired to have new clinic space. Our EDA worked with an architect and our financial advisors for many months to plan a building with commercial space on the main floor with apartments on the next floor. Once the clinic was informed of the potential lease payment to make the project cash flow, they backed out of moving into the space, which eventually, after trying vigorously to try new ideas of the same concept, killed the project. In 2019, a housing project was drawn out thoroughly, but did not pan out, leading us back to the drawing board to try and create a project to our city. We have also experienced the effects of the pandemic of businesses who have expressed interest in relocating or developing in Mountain Lake before the pandemic, and they shifted their attention to addressing the pandemic rather than relocating or developing here. By extending the TIF district, this will save our city costs of needing to develop a new TIF district in the future and allow us to have a tool to work with as we try to develop new projects. Future for the property would likely hinge on the use of tax increment financing to help induce development. If an extension to TIF District 1-8 is not approved, it is our fear that the property will likely not be developed in the foreseeable future. Thank you again for allowing me to be here today, and I can answer any questions or go into more detail of the district if needed.
Thank you, Mr. Schulte. We'll follow Senator Weber's program here. Mr. Sylvia, do you have any comments regarding this particular proposal?
Mr. Chair and members, I do not. This is a straight 5-year rule request. There was an amendment prepared that I'm not sure if Senator Weber would like to offer, and I can speak to that further when it's offered.
Thank you. Senator Weber?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would offer that amendment. That is, I believe, the extends both the 5-year rule and the 6-year rule.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Mr. Sylvia, you want to give us a quick overview of the vote on this?
Sure, Mr. Chair and members, the bill as introduced requests a 5-year extension of the 5-year rule. It's assumed that the 6-year rule would kick in whenever the 5-year rule expires, but just to remove any doubt, this amendment clarifies that the 6-year rule would kick in beginning in the 11th year. So when the 5-year rule expires, if this additional 5 years was granted.
Thank you, Mrs. Sylvia. So Senator Weber will move the A1 authors amendment. Members, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right. Got it. So members, any comments, questions regarding Senate File 1411? See none. Senator Weber.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, this is, I think, one of the classic examples of the need for the extension of the 5-year rule. And I look forward to, I guess I'll have something to say about what's in the final bill. But anyway, we will proceed with this and appreciate Mr. Schulte testifying today. And thank you for your consideration, Mr. Chair.
Well, you're welcome, Mr. Senator Weber. I wonder if it'll be in the final bill. With that, Senate File 1411 be laid over to possible inclusion. Thank you. Senator Weber, you got the next one, the final one on the docket today, Senate File 1412. Looks like something very similar.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for the city of Windom, and Senate File 1412 is an extension of the 5-year rule. The distinguishing feature about this is that this is a relatively recent district, and my testifier today will talk about that issue. And so, as well as an extension of the project. But we have Mr. Drew Hagee from the Economic Development Department of the City of Windom, and I would just turn it over to him, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Mr. Hagee, are you with us?
Yes.
Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Drew Hagee, Development Director for the City of Windom.
All right, you may go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Senator Weber. This TIF district is TIF District 1-22, referred to as the Semstone Redevelopment District. Semstone owns a 34-acre parcel on the south side of Cottonwood Lake. It's been an industrial property. We meet all of the requirements for the redevelopment TIF district. All those requirements have been met. We did develop adjacent to this parcel in the TIF district a 45-unit market rate apartment to support economic development and business growth in Windom. That building is up, 100% occupancy, solid project. With the rest of the redevelopment, this multifamily is supporting the single family. It's hard to cash flow a single family subdivision in greater Minnesota. The price of the infrastructure is greater than what the lots are worth. And then with the additional development costs related to building right now through COVID, and then just higher construction costs, getting traction right now has been difficult with starting on the redevelopment side of this project. So there is significant redevelopment cost along with the normal costs of putting in infrastructure and things for the subdivision. The redevelopment cost specifically $425,000 for demolition of the concrete plant. The extension of the 5-year rule, then the 6-year rule, and then also the extension of the district is requested. And the reason for the extension of the district as well is my direction from the city council is to develop the subdivision without any general fund dollars going into the subdivision. They want to support this development with new tax increment created within the district. And with multifamily, we're potentially able to do that, but we need a 20-year bond compared to a 15-year bond. The 20-year bond will allow us to be able to fund the project
And extending the 5-year rule, the 6-year rule, and then the district by 5 years would allow us to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Hagee. So you promised to have them pay this off and not come back.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
There would be an amendment for this as well as to deal with the 5 and 6 year, the 6-year rule as well.
All right.
To the past last one.
So
and I would move that.
Okay, Senator Weber moves the, as mentioned, A1 authors amendment. Mr. Sylvia, any further explanation needed? I think.
Mr. Chair, members, it is the same amendment that was adopted for Senator Weber's previous bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Members, all in favor of the A1 authors amendment, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Hey, members, any questions, comments for Senator Weber with this, with 1412? Okay, and seeing none, I bet this might make it into the bill. Senator Weber, you want to have any final
Senator Murphy has raised her hand.
Oh, Senator Murphy.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair. And I'm just wondering if Mr. Hagee or Senator Weber could just talk about the capacity of what you hope to build in terms of housing units.
Senator Weber, Mr. Hagee. All right, Mr. Hagee.
Yes, there would be a 3.3 acre area for some lower density multifamily. Should have mentioned as well in this district, it's in our wellhead protection area. So there is wellhead protection benefits, protection to the lake by not having an industrial business next to the lake. And then this is in an area with 58 acres of green space surrounding this parcel with a couple parks and the Windom Community Center. So there's benefits for pedestrian safety of you're relocating that. So there's 31 lots total with a 3.3 acre area for some lower density multifamily.
Thank you, Mr. Hagee. Senator Murphy?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no other comments or questions, Senator Weber, final word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And certainly the lake protection area projects that are involved here, and many of these projects today are quite frankly coming in well in over what original estimates were. And so that points to the need for some of these extensions at this point. And again, I want to thank Mr. Hagee for testifying today, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. With that, members, file 1412 will be held over for possible inclusion. And I will turn this back over to you, Senator Weber, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, we will turn to our last bill for today, Senate File 1921. Senator Osmek, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a mouthful in Novocaine, so I'm not going to make you listen to me talk very long here. But Senate File, this Senate File deals with the TIF amendment for the city of Wayzata. It's not an extension, it's a clarification of the rules. And this has to do with the lake effect project, which is now called Panaway on Wayzata Bay. And again, rather than listening to me slur my speech, I have with me today Mayor Moulton of Wayzata as well as the city manager. And I'd rather have them talk rather than listen to me and my Novocaine.
Very good. Thank you, Senator. And I assume that the members won't come up with additional questions for you today as a result of the situation, but never trust Senator Jasinski too far. With that, we will turn to the mayor at this point, and Mayor Moulton, and welcome to the committee, and you may proceed when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Weber and committee members. Thank you for your time today, and thank you, Senator Osmek, for supporting this request. I know the committee has had a full agenda, and so I will keep this brief. I am Joanna Mouton, the mayor of Wayzata, which is a small town despite what some may believe. We have only 3 square miles worth of land and a population less than 5,000. Despite being a small town, we are a regional destination that needs to rely increasingly on innovative financing in order to build and maintain infrastructure that our residents and visitors utilize. We are requesting clarification to allow certain expenditures to be allowed as eligible TIF expenditures as a part of our recently established TIF District number 6.
A portion of TIF District 6 includes the city's Panaway on Wayzata Bay, as the senator mentioned. That infrastructure project is along Lake Minnetonka, and we want to ensure that we can utilize the scheduled increment within the district on pedestrian improvements adjacent to Lake Street. This request clarifies that the design and construction of Panaway on Wayzata Bay's pedestrian walkway and public lake access infrastructure are deemed expended on activities within the district. 4 important notes. TIF District 6 was established in 2018 to offset private site redevelopment, public infrastructure, and public parking costs. This request is consistent with the original intent of the district. TIF District 6 is a redevelopment TIF district of 24 parcels that are anticipated to generate $20.6 million in increment for the whole district. It is generally located on the western half of downtown Wayzata, adjacent to Lake Minnetonka. There have been 4 private redevelopment projects to date that will receive 90% of the TIF from their projects over the term of the district. In addition, there are redevelopment projects that were built in the district that did not receive TIF, and we have monetized those to pay for needed in-district public parking and infrastructure-related improvements consistent with the overall TIF plan. This request will allow clarification for increment to be utilized for, in addition to public parking and Lake Street infrastructure and sidewalks, another walkway on the lake connecting different points of Lake Street. Please note that this request does not extend the length of the TIF district and the 5-year rule. Thank you, Senator Osmek and Chair Weber, for this opportunity. Wayzata City Manager Jeff Dahl and I will stand for any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Mayor. And just so that I understand, geographically speaking, the discussion or the projected lakefront construction, is this in close proximity to TIF District 6 then at this point?
Chair and committee members, it is within the district, I believe, but I will ask for clarification from our city manager.
Mr. Dahl.
Good morning, Chair Weber and committee members. I'm Jeffrey Dahl, the city manager. A portion of it is within the district and the rest is adjacent to the district. So it's abutting essentially.
Okay, very good, thank you. Mr. Sylvia, any comments about this project?
Mr. Chair, members, just to reiterate what the mayor indicated, this is sort of a pooling exception. So these expenditures would be treated as in-district expenditures. So it would not count against the allowable percentage of pooling outside the district, but within the project area.
Okay, very good, thank you. Members, questions, comments? Senator Jasinski.
Mr. Chair, I was wondering if the author could give us a summary of what districts 1 through 5 have done for his community before we go into District 6. I'm just kidding.
Only, Mr. Chair, only.
Oh, God.
Did you have a comment, Senator Osmek?
Mr. Chair, only if Senator Jasinski wants me to see some blood here today. So
okay. Senator Chamberlain. Okay. With that, I see no other further questions. And do you have any further comments you care to make, Senator Osmek? Very good. With that, Senator Chamberlain moves Senate File 1921 to be laid over for possible inclusion into the final bill. With that, everyone, I believe we've come to the end of the bills for today. Thank you very much for your patience and attention, and I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.